come to be known as the meaning crisis and associates that with the Nietzschean death of God, which is the appropriate association, the demolition of the higher unity that, say, held Western culture together and gave it its enthusiastic impetus over the last 2,000 years. We've exhausted that in a sense, and because of that, people are hedonistic and nihilistic and hopeless and anxious and lost. And that's not a wonderful condition. Now, one of the consequences of such conditions, mythologically speaking, is that it's at those times when something new is born. That's why Christ is born at the darkest point of the year, for example. It's a very common mythological motif. And we examine today what it is that died, I would say, and also what it is that's in the difficult process of being born and what beneficial and monstrous forms that might take.
This is interesting. Yes, so there's always that question hanging there. Will Peterson propose something new? Murray mentioned it. Douglas Murray mentioned it when he was moderating, the third or fourth Sam Harris-Jordan Peterson debate. Always the possibility of a new religion. And I mean, he says in interviews after the fact that he felt a kind of tension or suspense in the room as if people were hungering for that. And this is probably something we can agree on from all walks of life, the secular, the rationalists, those who have been hurt by religion and those who have been hurt by atheism. Everyone seems to be echoing this sentiment that there's a void in us, a growing hunger for, I like to say, ritual, perhaps embodiment. We're so abstracted. You know, our environments, the environments in which we evolved were environments of direct embodied interaction with the environment, and you feel it all the time. I mean, the office jobs, the computer, all these layers of abstraction interacting with people all across the world. You know, the information we're engaged with is so much less intuitive. It's so much more vast. The systems, and these are important systems, the systems that run our world, the AI, the, supply chains, the weapons, the internet, everything is, all these things are very consequential, indeed, probably the most consequential things. And yet we have no real intuitive grasp of them. We have no analog in our everyday lives. And our everyday lives are becoming more and more strange and, I would say, unnatural because of it. And everyone seems to feel this. So I mentioned in my Dune video that there's these Westerners, who will go to a tropical place, Mexico or Guatemala or Bali, and they'll do all these rituals and they're trying to reconnect with something. And you make fun of them and they post on social media like screaming into a volcano and it seems really goofy. And of course it's always, whatever white upper class people, but Burning Man, but there's obviously a hunger there. So I mentioned in my Dune video. Then there's the 21st century version, the raves and lab-made LSD, thousands bowing to electric figures in the stage light, neon glow sticks, phone lights now instead of flame. There's the Westerners shouting into volcanoes and making animal noises. There's retreats into the desert for which you can pay $4,000. There are yoga lessons broadcast across the World Wide Web. What does Jamis mean when he says,
"The mystery of life isn't a problem to solve, but a reality to experience. A process that cannot be understood by stopping it. We must move with the flow of the process. We must join it. We must flow with it."
We can scoff, we can turn to skepticism, to our world of binary, we can quantify and model, build our houses square on square, but our world is not square. Our world is not bit and binary. Bit and binary, to the degree they underpin us, are relevant and sensible only in relation, pattern. The modern day has taught us that it's us who see the patterns. We are the ones who say, hey look, a connectome looks like a tree, and synapses are smaller trees, and trees are in the world, and everything is connected. The stars make shapes, everything is spinning in relation, and math leads us to something deeper. But we do not see math. Seeing is not math. One of the greatest blows to my own religious faith was the realization. And we've been untethered now from this this more rigid, slowly evolving, oral tradition, communal in the sense of with your tribe, with your kin group, you perform the same ritual over and over again and you step into your role and play it out. We're so detached from that now that there's all these kind of fragmenting movements that are endlessly reshuffling, and you have, everyone's on their very quote unquote individual path nowadays. And so they'll go to Burning Man and then try this and yoga. And, does it lend itself to something coherent enough or overarching enough to unite and to sustain itself. We don't know. There seems to be, in my view, a recognition of this hunger even in secular communities. And, the more skeptical types like Dillahunty or whatever are just so concerned with the harm of dogma and religion. And also their brains just seem structured to need that less. Perhaps they're just more fascinated by dry academic questions. They have their few friends. They go through life. Is that enough for the full spectrum of human brains, And I've even felt it as a writer sitting in front of the screen all day. Please subscribe if you can, so I can stop freelancing and just do my own interests. That would be a fantastic way to use my digital time. But I've even felt it. I'll feel so sick. I'll feel so uninspired. I'll feel so frustrated with my lack of mental clarity. You go outside, you run around, you just go wild for even just 10 minutes, and you feel so different. And it's like your body is remembering, this is actually what I was designed for. These are actually the feedback loops in which the brain is integrated with the body, doing things directly in its environment and getting those hormones that confirm and just fuel you, and you feel invigorated. This is something we're so detached from. Now, is our brain also designed for sedentary abstract things? Obviously, more so than, any other animal. Language was very old and, one of the things that made us humans uniquely. So certainly we're meant to do some sort of abstract thing. We just seem to be accelerating in that direction more and more and more. Why? Because of the nature of technology, I would say. Technology is this mathematical, precise machine extracted from the human body. So technology is a tool or whatever, an element, a feature of our survival that we can extract from our body and pass, one to the other, and it gets preserved perfectly. So as soon as we became, I suppose, language using and tool using, we unlocked this capacity to pass fitness mechanisms between us, and they improve and improve and improve and improve, and can be corrupted, but much less than the individual, because the individual dies every few years, and much less than even the gene that's passed across individuals. So technology will accelerate and accelerate and accelerate, and the features of humanity which deal with it, the sorts of people who will be successful in a technologically advanced civilization, they're going to be the people that are better at dealing in this abstract, mechanic, disembodied way. And so it draws us further and further from the jungle, say, and corrupts us because it's a demand. Technology is so powerful, it's so useful, it's so inexorable. It's never going to diminish. It's only going to grow because it's passed outside of us. So it demands that we acquiesce, and this is very dangerous and sickens us in a certain way. That was a huge ramble.
And how that's making itself manifest in the popular and intellectual culture.
Oh, so the point was we seem to have a hunger to return, to fairy tales and to return to the wild and, all these men doing the bro retreats. And this is something that even the skeptics, I think, recognize, even if their particular constitution needs it less.
And
notice, of course, evolutionary argument, we have evolved to have this structure. So if the masses need religion, then there's something that has been massively more important in that sense for the species.
so